Well. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, however you identify, we are here. Now, I'm not going to say that the NBA playoffs is getting started because I don't want to be disrespectful to the teams that are not advancing, to the teams that are still fighting and will not advance, because those are grit and grind series. Those are important series, and those games matter, especially for those teams. Every team has worked extremely hard to get where they are. Getting success in the NBA and having an opportunity to play in the playoff is a big deal. No matter how far you make it, it's an extremely big deal. But I would dare to argue that for the Denver Nuggets, this is the start of their playoffs. And the reason I'm saying that is not because the Minnesota Timberwolves were not viable players and a team in order to play in the playoff. Anthony Edwards was great. Rudy Gobert was very good. Carl had a couple of good games. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley, Taurean Prince, Kyle Anderson, Jordan McLaughlin, Chris Finch. Shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But relative to what the expectations are for the Denver Nuggets, I would like to contest that the start of the playoff begins right now for Denver. I think this is the tone that I want to set today. I may have some special things coming up for you the next couple of days as well. Please be on the lookout for that. But even with all that, even with the fact that the playoffs did start, even with the fact that we're in a situation now where the Denver Nuggets are getting past the first round, they won 4-1, all that stuff is great. But the playoffs start today for the Nuggets because now you're playing against a team that has championship expectation, that has a former MVP on the roster, has an all-NBA player, multiple all-NBA players on the roster, has a former first overall draft pick in DeAndre Ayton, and you got Chris Paul, one of the five best point guards in NBA history. And you got a Phoenix Suns organization that just 2 years ago was in the NBA Finals in 2021. So the reason that I say the playoffs start right now is because now it is ante-up time. All the stuff that you've been building towards all year, all the stuff you've been gearing up for, Bruce Brown signing, the KCP Smith trade, the acquisitions and the drafting of Christian Brown and Peyton Watson, getting Aaron Gordon on March 25th, 2021, having a solidified defensive core, Jamal Murray, the first 25 games of the year starting off slow, and then been excellent the last 40 with a great first round matchup where he basically averaged 27, 6, and 6 on 50, 40, 90. All that being put into the story together. This is time. It is time for the Denver Nuggets to not meet the outside expectation, but meet the expectation that they set for themselves. If you heard Coach Michael Malone just the other day, Michael Malone said that the expectation is championship. Well, here we are. The Western Conference semifinal versus the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Torrey Craig, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, and former Coach of the Year in Monty Williams. This is going to be an excellent series. And every basketball fan, every Denver Nuggets fan, I hope that you appreciate the moment. I hope you appreciate how far this team has come. The Phoenix Suns fans that may or may not listen to this, I hope you appreciate how far your team has come, getting Kevin Durant, the big, huge news that was, the week of the Super Bowl, nonetheless, in Arizona. But this is going to be such an interesting series because each team has clear matchup advantages. Each team has clear matchup disadvantages, and they all have weaknesses that you can exploit. The Denver Nuggets, their pick and roll defense, that's going to be something the Suns are hunting for. The Denver Nuggets, the interior defense for the Phoenix Suns is not good. It's not good at all. And the facts are the facts. We'll talk about this stuff a little bit tonight. But the Denver Nuggets, you can exploit them defensively because they were not good defensively. They were one of the worst defenses in the first round of the playoffs with Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell attacking. Mason Plumlee had success against them. But as you see, if you're a Phoenix Suns fan or if you're a Denver Nuggets supporter that is trying to have a realistic viewpoint of the team, you saw Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns and Mike Conley at times be able to take advantage of the Denver Nuggets in a pick and roll. And when they get caught in rotations, they get caught looking at the ball and not paying attention to their man, or those wide open corner three-pointers, the Torrey Craig specials. Those are going to be available. But the good news is that this is the moment for everybody to show up, because there are some people that are contesting that Devin Booker has been the best player through the playoffs so far. You can make that argument if you would like. I don't think that's a great argument to make relative to the fact that we just watched Jimmy Butler put up 56 points against Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. And he's beating the number one defense in the NBA basically by himself with no Tyler Hero, and they're up 3-1 in the playoffs. Now, I know Giannis wasn't there for 2.5 of those games, but again, I wanted to give respect to Jimmy Butler. If you want to say that Devin Booker is taking advantage of the fact that Norman Powell and Terrence Mann and Russell Westbrook with no Kawhi and no PG, he was there to take advantage of that, sure, no problem. But Jokic, again, just this last series, 26-12-9. Jamal Murray, this last series, 27-6-6. Devin Booker is averaging 37 points a game in the first round. And then Kevin Durant, I think, is averaging roughly 30, 31 points a game in the first round. So you're going to see some stuff. This is going to be great basketball. This is going to be a great opportunity for everybody to take care of business and to play the best version of their basketball. So I wanted to open up with that because I think it's important for everybody to lean into the moment and everybody to remember what it took to get here from both sides, and especially for the Denver Nuggets, what you've endured since March 25th, 2021, and Aaron Gordon was traded to the Denver Nuggets. Everything you've endured, from Jamal's ACL injury to the team not being fully healthy to Michael Porter Jr. getting hurt in preseason last year and going down with 9 games into the season and with a back injury versus the Houston Rockets. And every one of those players has shown up and performed up or exceeded expectations. Now, some people might have had higher expectations. Me, for instance, there are some people that are surprised that Jamal Murray has been as good as he's been. But I told people coming into the playoff, I told people coming into the season, and I told folks coming into January that Jamal Murray is the type of player that's good enough to be a 2 on a championship team. I know he is because I've seen it. He had a 40 ball in his second game back in the playoffs. His first game back in the playoffs had 24, 8, and 8. Had a 2 game where he struggled, but still had good playmaking games. But this last game, he has 35 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 5 of 9 from 3, and he shot 7 of 14 from 2, and he shot 91% from the line over the course of that series. That's big. That's a huge deal to get from Jamal Murray and then Michael Porter Jr., king of the fourth quarter. King of the fourth quarter, absolutely. So, y'all, this is going to be an excellent series. But there are some things that I want to get into and laid out. And I think for Denver Nuggets fans, I'm not going to give my official prediction until Friday because, again, I'm trying to set some things up for you. And if that happens, then you'll be able to hear it then. If not, you'll have another way for me to give it to you at that point in time as well. But I expect this to be a good series. But I want to give you some context behind who the Phoenix Suns are and what they've done so far through this postseason. And again, in only 5 games. But here we are. I'm going to go ahead and open up Basketball Reference so you can kind of see where everybody stands as of right now through the first 5 games of the playoffs. And you can see the things that the Phoenix Suns are doing very well, the things that the Suns are not doing so well. So I wanted to show you this because I think it's important to get a picture of just how good the Suns have been, how dominant they've been at times as a team collectively, but also on the other side of this, it gives you some perspective on how good the Denver Nuggets were in the first round. So this is the net ratings for each team. And in these net ratings, you can see how good a team has performed offensively and defensively, how well they've shot, their free throw percentages, their effective field goal percentage, their defense, everything. You kind of get a good overall view of how everybody's played. So the Denver Nuggets, they're currently second in the NBA in net rating through 5 games. Now, I will contest that the Philadelphia 76ers had by far the easiest matchup of anybody in the playoff. That team would not have made the playoff if Kevin Durant didn't get them an 18-2 start, basically, when Kyrie was there. And they just did not have the pieces. Their game plan was all over the place. Like, they just quite simply did not have it. But the Denver Nuggets, I would say, have looked like the best team in the NBA so far. And the reason I'm making that argument is because they did it versus a very talented team with Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. All those players have made All-Stars in the last couple of seasons, and all those players have been All-NBA or All-NBA nominees, as Ant will be this year as well. The Denver Nuggets, the thing that I want you to see here is through the first 5 games of the playoffs, this defensive rating has dropped because of the good execution on the half of the Timberwolves the last 2 games. But the Denver Nuggets have the 5th ranked playoff defense. The 5th ranked playoff defense so far. This is significant. This is very good. Now, again, people will say that the Minnesota Timberwolves did not have a good offensive team, but I will tell you they had a good defensive team. And you look at where the Minnesota Timberwolves are. They had a minus 9.2 net rating, obviously, because they played against the Denver Nuggets. But they surrendered a 119 offensive rating to the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets were abusing the Timberwolves defensively, even with all their great personnel they had. But they were able, even with Anthony Edwards having a really good series, they were able to hold them to a 109.7 defensive rating. That's good. That's very good. Now, this is going to be challenged by the Phoenix Suns, but the reason I want you to see this is find the Phoenix Suns on this list. Where are they? 1 through 16, where are the Phoenix Suns? They're sitting at 12. The Phoenix Suns, even though they have a positive net rating because of that offense they had that was absolutely booming, the Phoenix Suns gave up a 117.1 offensive rating to the Los Angeles Clippers. Come on now. 117-point offensive rating to the Los Angeles Clippers. That's the 12th ranked playoff defense currently in the playoff. That's just in front of the Hawks. That's just in front of the Timberwolves, who were blitzed. And then the Bucks. The Bucks have been struggling because they're playing against Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler is absolutely going ham on the Milwaukee Bucks right now. And then they also have shot incredibly from 3. And then you have the Clippers at the very bottom. So I think for all the concerns that people do have about the Phoenix Suns, I want you to see this, that when you're talking about their defense, they're going to put out Chris Paul, they're going to put out Devin Booker, they're going to put out DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie. Y'all, that personnel is just not strong. And people can say that the Denver Nuggets don't have a strong personnel, but I've said this multiple times since the trade in February that the Denver Nuggets have a better defensive personnel because they have more viable defenders, and that is their job. KCP, he is there for defense. Bruce Brown, he is there for defense. Aaron Gordon, he is there for defense. Christian Brown, he is there for defense. And then Jeff Green, he was your secondary cat defender in the post. Jeff Green is also going to be there for defense. And then again, if you need to go into your well, then you got Peyton Watson as well. The Denver Nuggets have legit 4 clear positive defenders and then 1 rookie defender who played really well in the regular season. And you have Jeff Green, who is probably a neutral defender. And again, who's played against Kevin Durant multiple times. So for me, you're going to have options. This doesn't mean you're going to stop the Phoenix Suns. What it does mean is you have options. And you have more options defensively than you've ever had, and you got more options for sure than the Phoenix Suns, because right now, the way the Phoenix Suns are going to work, they're either going to let Devin Booker and try to continue to excel defensively and give him the matchup versus Jamal Murray, which I doubt, or they're going to put Torrey Craig onto Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray is going to be able to work against Torrey Craig with Devin Booker working off ball versus KCP or versus Michael Porter Jr. Now, here's where the conundrum comes, because if you put Devin Booker on KCP, that means CP3 is guarding a 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. who has gotten to the rack in the first round, who is shooting incredibly well, over 42% on like 7 attempts, I think, from 3 in the first round. So if your option is going to be giving CP3 one of KCP and then one of MPJ, that means Devin Booker has to work with the Denver Nuggets third option on offense. And the Nuggets should look at that as an opportunity to take advantage of that matchup. So a lot of these off-ball actions, DHO, Torrey Craig is not as good of a pick-and-roll defender, largely because he's bigger, and neither is Josh Okogie. Not as good as Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who, because of his body, was able to slither around these screens in a really effective way. So when you're in a two-man game, and then if you do a stagger screen, and the stagger screen, just pretend it's Jokic and Aaron Gordon or something like that, and you want to get Jamal Murray running a hump, and then you can put Jokic, MPJ, and AG if you want, and he basically gets three screens working up through the three-point line, and he can get a mid-range shot, he can go to the rim, or he can also get a shot at the open three-pointer as well. There's going to be some pin downs. They're going to be able to run. They can take advantage of some of these switches. If the Suns try to commit to a switch scheme, then a lot of that. So when you would see, they would get that horn action, which is Nikola Jokic and either Jamal or whoever, or AG, and they're sitting, or really Jamal and AG. Well, it depends on what they're doing, but let's just say it's Jokic and it's AG, and then Jamal Murray tries to get a pick or tries to get the ball to Jokic on that little action. So Jokic has the ball at the top of the key, and then if they're going to try to screen AG, Jamal is going to come around. He's going to put his back towards the basket, try to get a screen on to Kevin Durant, more than likely on AG, and they'll see if AG can either beat that screen and whoever's guarding Jamal sticks with him, or if they can see they can get a switch, and then that way Kevin Durant goes with Jamal, and then AG cuts to the basket, more than likely with Josh Okogie and Torrey Craig, and that is an absolute win. And on the other side of this, if Jokic is sitting at the top of the key and they're running a little action where they got AG and Jamal working on the corner, and they're trying to get some action there, try to get some switches, and then that way Jamal, if he doesn't get a switch, then he runs the hump and he comes grab the ball from Jokic on that little dribble handoff action. If Jokic sees CP3 or Devin Booker trying to contest inside because Ayton is pressed up on him, you're going to have Michael Porter Jr. or KCP in the corner. So, again, there's going to be a lot of different options that the Nuggets have to try to expose this Suns defense. Now, I think there's going to be a couple high-scoring games in this series, but once again, let's go back to this. Because of the way the Nuggets play, I don't know how much teams will be able to score consistently. And the reason I say this is simply because the Nuggets, they have 94.1 is their pace right now. So that's basically how many possessions you have per 48 minutes. So they have the sixth slowest pace in the playoffs. So what this means is that the Nuggets are going to be hunting efficient shots and layups, dunks, and threes. And then if they need to, mid-range shots. The Suns, they have three shooters shooting around 50%, if not higher, from mid-range. So that's going to be one of their specialties. But nothing beats layups and nothing beats dunks. So if the Nuggets can get efficient shots at the rim, then you're continuing to create good offensive looks, and hopefully you're winning the math game because of the amount of three-pointers you're going to be able to get off as well with this roster. So I think that the Nuggets are going to have an opportunity to keep the pace slow because, again, slow pace for the Nuggets. What does that mean? That means you're executing on offense, you're getting shots in the basket, and then you're getting to reset your defense. The Nuggets, what they cannot do is turn the freaking ball over versus the Phoenix Suns. They absolutely cannot do that. Because if you do that, then you're going to run into a lot of issues. You're going to run into a lot of issues because the Phoenix Suns have a terrifying fast break team so far through the playoffs. And the Nuggets do too. They also do too. But with the Nuggets lose because the transition defense is their weakest spot. Like that, they are worse at transition defense even than they are at pick and roll. And I want to show you this. So this is their shot diet. The Phoenix Suns in this last series, 72.7% of their shots came from the two-point range. And if you look at the distribution of that, the Nuggets got 23% of their shots at the rim, the Knicks 28, the Lakers 25. But look at the Suns. 13% of their shots come at the rim. But look at where the mid-range variations come from. Look at this. This area is that Jokic area. That 3 to 10 is that Jokic area, that floater zone. So Jokic is going to dominate there. But look at where the Suns are. Their shot distribution, that's almost 37%. That's 37.2% of their shots are coming from this mid-range area right here. As opposed to the Nuggets, that's not even basically 14% of their shots. So when you're watching this, you're going to see this play out in real time, how the Phoenix Suns are going to be trying to target their offense when they're playing against the Denver Nuggets. And then you can see the field goal percentages as well. How well are they shooting? The Suns shot 55.6% in the first round from 2. The Nuggets 53%. A lot of this dropped with this last game for the Nuggets because they shot so terribly. Again, the Nuggets shot 68% at the rim, near the rim. The Suns shot 73%, 48%, 48%, 25%, 52%, and 43%. So again, look at this. That's that mid-range pull-up area. They're going to try to hunt that shot out. And then they shot really well from 3 as well. But again, the Nuggets missed their three-pointers. They shot 37% of their shot die was at 3 as opposed to 27%. I think this is going to go up for the Nuggets in this series because of the kind of looks they're going to be getting. They just have to be able to convert these. They really do. They have to be able to convert these shots. The Nuggets also had 29 dunks in the first round. The Suns had 24. So again, very similar. But I think the Nuggets, they can really make this a point. The Nuggets led the first round, meaning in the first 5 games at least, in the first 5 to 4 games, the Nuggets led the entire playoffs in dunks. So they're going to be trying to get to the rim. Even in layup, they had 67 layups. This is where the Nuggets have to excel versus the Phoenix Suns. You need to hit your three-pointers. You need to excel in getting layups and dunks. And you got to find out a way to make sure you're getting there as much as possible. But look at this nonsense. The Phoenix Suns, they shot 57% from corner threes. The Nuggets, this is great. The Nuggets, they shot 41% from corner threes, but 25% of the Suns' shot diet was from 3. And they shot 57% from 3. So you have to watch out for that. You have to pay attention to that stuff. You have to. Now, on to the individual players. I wanted to show you kind of what Devin Booker has been doing so far in the playoffs, as well as Kevin Durant as well. Because, again, if you haven't got a chance to watch the Phoenix Suns a lot, you kind of get a mindset of what it looks like and why people are saying that Devin Booker's been as incredible as he's been. Devin Booker's currently leading the playoffs in scoring, 37.2 points a game. Jamal Murray is actually 8th in the playoffs in scoring at 27.2. Nikola Jokic is 10th at 26. Kevin Durant is 7th at 28.4. So Devin Booker, 85.7% from the line. Kevin Durant, 96% from the line on 9 attempts a game. And then obviously 7 attempts a game for Devin Booker. I think they led the first round in free throw rate as well. So again, another thing to watch out for. Not fouling too much in this run and in this series. Jokic obviously had a crazy shooting streak from the three-point line on 4.4 attempts. He shot 50% from 3. Jamal on 8.4 attempts shot 43% from 3. Kevin Durant on 4.8 attempts shot 46% from 3. And Devin Booker on 6 attempts shot 46.7. Now, again, some of these numbers are going to go up and down. I fully expect for Jokic, his three-point percentage, Kevin Durant's three-point percentage, and Devin Booker's three-point percentage to go down. I'm not sure about Jamal because, again, he shot 45% last time he was in the playoffs. So, we'll have to see. But so this is where we are, man. Like, again, this is just to give you some insight on how good their players have been and what they've been able to do that's made them so effective. And Chris Paul is currently 5th in the NBA and in playoffs in assists, 8.2. Jokic is sitting at 9.0. And this free throw number needs to get back up to about 85% for the playoffs, by the way. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So here's the thing. The Nuggets, for me, are going to have to attack the rim. Jamal Murray is not going to have a matchup that's going to give him the same level of issue as Nickeil Alexander-Walker did. And Nikola Jokic, this has to be, I would argue, Nikola Jokic averaged 30 3 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 4.5 assists versus the Portland Trailblazers in 2021. And he shot 50, 40, 90 in that series. I would argue that this needs to be Nikola Jokic's best playoff series ever. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think Joker is going to have the biggest matchup advantage. And in order to make this playoffs as clear as it probably needs to be to get this done, when I think they can get this done, I think that's what it's going to take from Joker. And so Joker has basically these 3 days to get his body right, to get his mind right, and make sure he's ready to go. And I think that Jamal Murray, in a very similar vein, is going to be in a similar place and needs to do the same thing. But, yeah, for sure. I think that Joker needs to take advantage of his matchup. I think Bruce Brown needs to take advantage of his matchup. Terrence Ross, Landry Shamet, and Cameron Payne, none of those players can outplay you if I'm Bruce Brown. Not one of them. Bruce Brown needs to set the tone off the bench. Christian Brown and Jeff Green, they need to play excellent defense off the bench. Commit to your man. Make sure you're keeping hands out of the way so that way you're not getting silly foul calls. I think that the Nuggets need to attack them consistently and as much as possible, and you need to dominate the boards versus this team. Dominate the time of possession. You dominate the boards. You dominate the offensive glass. And, again, you get quality key shots because the Suns are going to make their shot. This is probably going to be the most impressive shot-making clinic you're going to see in the second round, maybe throughout the playoffs, because Jamal Murray and Devin Booker is going to be a light show. Like, it's gonna come down to a point where those two are going to be going back and forth with each other, and it's going to become a light show. And the reason I say that is because there's going to become a moment where Jamal Murray and Devin Booker are going to be needed. It's going to be needed for them to hit their shots at a very high clip. And so if that's going to happen, then that means that they have to be able to execute on time, and they got to be able to hit their shots. Jamal Murray and Devin Booker, I would say at least 2, if not 3 games this series, they're going to have a shootout. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, especially at home in Denver, I think Jamal Murray can win those. I think he can win the ones at home. I think that Devin Booker could win the one in Phoenix. But the Nuggets need to come out. They need to dominate the home court. So, again, I said that every series, the Nuggets' goal should be to go up 2-0 immediately. Every series. Take advantage of the home court. With Nikola Jokic on the court, you only lost 4 games. I want to say they were 33-4 during the regular season at home. And the Denver Nuggets are 3-0 so far in the playoffs at home. And they're 1-1 on the road. For me, that's a formula. That's a formula. I think the Denver Nuggets can win both at home, and then you split on the road somewhere, and you bring them back home. You dominate home court advantage and try to get one on the road, and that is how you get a comfortable advantage in the series because you have the personnel, you have the roster, you have the team, but it's doing the things you need to do. I think this is going to be an incredible series, y'all. I really do. I think this is going to be an incredible series. I think that Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, I think they're all going to have very good series, but I really, truly believe Nikola Jokic, you need to be the best player in this series going away. And it has to be clear, I think. And I think, Jamal, you need to be arguing. Like, there needs to be an argument for the Denver Nuggets to win this series in a way that I think they can. Joker needs to be the best player, and I think Jamal needs to be able to make an argument that he was on the same level with Devin Booker at times over the course of this series, if not throughout the series, similar to the Anthony Edwards situation. I think that's what it's going to take. But I think defensively, you need to be the cleared better defensive team. So Aaron Gordon, KCP, Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, Jeff Green, all of you, it has to be your job to make it life as difficult as possible for everybody on the other side of the ball. It has to be. It has to be. So, y'all, this is going to be an incredible series, man. I hope you all are excited about it. I can't wait. We're going to have some more content coming out. But I wanted to at least give you a teaser of some of my individual thoughts. I think the Suns have some matchup advantages they can take care of. I think that the Denver Nuggets do as well. But I think whoever is best able to do that is going to be the person that wins the series. I think the Nuggets have the better defensive ceiling with who they have in the roster. So, again, we got more to talk about, but I at least wanted to give you a little bit of a dive into kind of how I'm thinking about the series so far, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let the people know where you like to get your favorite Denver Nuggets and NBA content, y'all. Hey, Swipa gang, y'all know what time it is. The playoffs start now for the Denver Nuggets. Let's go. I will see